Yep, we've got another Pine Sap video today. If you've already watched my Pine Sap 101 video, which is essentially a condensed mini course into the hows and whys of pine sap, then you probably recall how to harvest and utilize pine pitch. Today, we're going to be turning that medicinal pine pitch into salves, or salves, because apparently I've been mispronouncing salves my whole life. As a recap, to collect this stuff, look for the dried up resin or pitch on the bark of evergreen trees such as spruce and pines. Again, check out my full video titled Pine Sap 101, How to Collect and Use It if you're unsure how. Thanks to the medicinal attributes of pine sap, like its antibacterial and anti-inflammatory abilities, these work great to relieve itchy rashes, bug bites, prevent infections, and can even repel bugs in the first place. All you'll need to make a pine pitch salve yourself is pine resin, jars or containers to heat and mix materials, some type of oil, I prefer olive oil, some type of safe wax such as beeswax, and tins to pour your finished product in. Real quick, here's a jar of salves that I've made in the past. So how I typically do this is add in my unfiltered pitch, my oil and wax into a jar, melt it up, mix it around, and then let it harden. You'll notice once it hardens that any debris just kind of settles on the bottom of the jar. I'll give you an example here. So you can just scoop off the top. Here's that debris that I was talking about. And this jar was completely filled to the top. So what I did was just scoop up all the way down to like this bottom inch. Scoop all this and put it into another jar, remelt it, liquefy it, and then pour that into my tins once I'm finished for my final product. While this process worked just fine for me in the past, I'm always trying to find new ways of doing things. So today we're going to be experimenting with a metal strainer in combination with a cheesecloth. And together we'll see if that helps things out or just needlessly complicates the process. As you can see, this stuff's pretty nasty, so it'll be a good example to work with. It's discolored because it's filled with debris such as bark, bugs, dirt, and pine needles. The first thing you'll want to do is get your resin in a jar over heat. I chose to use a mason jar in a hot pot of water because it's safer and easier to control the temperature. I try to always keep the temperature under 168 degrees Fahrenheit to help preserve the beneficial properties of the resin. Once your resin is warmed up, like you see here, it's starting to liquefy. Add in your oil, as this will help further dissolve the resin and make it easier to work with. The clumps of resin should quickly break down and mix with the surrounding oil in a minute or less. It really doesn't take long. The trick to speeding this up is to stir constantly and keep your water level at or above the oil in your jar. You can really see here just how nasty this batch was, so we'll want to filter this one well. You can even see a severed ant head floating at the top. Nice. Just double checking our temp here, which you'll want to do throughout the heating process. We're sitting pretty well under 168. Now that the resin is totally dissolved with the oil, let's start straining. Normally this is when I add in the beeswax and let the particles naturally settle to the bottom of the jar before scooping out the cleanest top layers. This is a good visual on how you can see that simple method actually works surprisingly well. But today we're experimenting, so let's see if straining it is any better. I'm starting with the metal strainer first so we can see just how much it gets filtered through. Well, it's a significant improvement if I say so myself, but there's still quite a bit of little bark specks floating around. They won't kill us, but it's not ideal, so let's try the cheesecloth method next. And again, you can really see just how much of the matter settled on the bottom of the jar here before you even needed to strain anything out. So before we pour our already once filtered jar over the cheesecloth, I want to see if we can filter this stuff with beeswax added to the mix. I'm just eyeballing this stuff because I've made plenty of salves in the past and I've actually gotten pretty good at this stuff. So if you're a total novice, just aim for a 1:4 or 1:5 ratio here, 1 parts being your wax. Now that everything's dissolved again, which didn't take but 5 minutes, let's see if it'll filter through the cheesecloth and metal strainer. At a quick glance, it looks like it's working. The salve's dripping through to our jar, and if I zoom in on this, you can see those specks of bark being trapped by our cloth. Upon further inspection, I'd say that this was a success. I'll admit there's some remnant specks of bark, so this didn't quite work as well as just letting it sit, but there's still less waste, and if you're using this for your own personal use and not selling it, I'd say this is just fine. Now all that's left to do is quickly pour your finished salve into a final resting place, such as these little tins. I like to take everywhere I go, especially in the woods. Side note, but you can actually save the imperfect salve to use as fire starter or around your yard and garden, treating injured plants as the need arises. Just something to consider. Both beeswax and pine sap are natural preservatives, so while the shelf life of most salves is typically maxed out at 1 to 2 years, you can actually expect this stuff to last even longer. The last time I made this was 3 years ago, and I actually still have a little left from that batch, which, in theory, I could keep using for years to come. The trick is to keep it stored in a cool, dark place, just like a fridge. If they didn't have any oil, I'd argue they could last indefinitely, kind of like honey. Little off topic, but I wanted to check in on our pine tincture that I started about a month ago with pine sap and pine needles. Yeah, just going off the smell, it was definitely ready. It tastes like a drunk Christmas tree.